What I have realized in this session is that people are talking about participation in urban development and partnership between the government itself, but there's a little bit of challenge of the kind of participation that they are referring to. Because most of the time when you listen to the discussion, it is referring to local authorities and national government. And it is leaving the community itself behind. And then as long as we are not embracing what communities are doing on the ground, then that partnership and that participation is null and void. So that's what I've realized the discussion is all about. We want to do things, but we are not so much inclusive as we want. I think what I'm seeing in my country, a lot of good things are happening, but good things that are happening not quite in the right way, because the culture of dependency from the people towards government is too much. Government is building houses for the people, whereby at the end of the day, most of the people are still leaving those houses, going back to informal settlements. And now our government in South Africa has come up with this perspective of saying we are now focusing on informal settlement upgrading. I think the most important thing that my government should look at in South Africa is formalizing the informal settlements if needs be, or maybe engaging communities if maybe that settlement is not viable for building, rather than just deciding on their own to say this informal settlement, we have to remove it without involving the people. That one will become a serious challenge. But the idea of informal settlement upgrading, I think it's a good idea, but how to implement it? I think my government has got very, very beautiful policies, but the implementation thereof, the bureaucracy thereof, is hampering the smooth implementation of the policy. So South Africa is one of the countries that is coming up with the kind of inclusive development, but the issue of dependency is still there, because people are still saying government should do it and they should just fold their arms. And when you look at the protests that are happening in different communities towards service delivery, then you ask your question, when we talk about the beautiful policy, where are we lacking when it comes to implementation? Because if we are doing it at scale and involving the people themselves, then the protests will be limited and the people will know their own responsibilities, not only knowing their rights, because their rights goes with responsibilities. And that's where we are lacking a little bit as the communities in some areas. But with my organization, we have realized that we have to stand up and join hands with the government. We are saying, government, we've got our information, we've got our people, we've got the ability, we've got our resources. We only need to join hands and meet each other halfway. We have attended many conferences, and then at the end of the day, we forged partnership with the UN Habitat, and we ended up signing the Memorandum of Understanding. We forged our partnership with UCLG, the United Council of Local Government, especially in Africa. And then we are the members of Cities Alliance. With these three bodies, we are saying, as the civil society or as Shack Dwellers International, we want to influence what is happening at the local authorities. But now what we want to see the United Nations doing is to monitor and advocate this relationship. Because yes, we can sign the Memorandum of Understanding, but if it is not implementable, it is a futile exercise. So we want to see the institutionalization of this Memorandum of Understanding, whereby we are part of the decision making, we are part of the strategic planning committees, we are part of the decision of implementing these strategies. So for that to happen is the intervention of the UN Habitat and the United Nations, meaning that we have to stop ignoring the existence of the people themselves. We have to recognize what our people are doing on the ground, meaning that United Nations should play a mediatory role to bring this body of the people and this body of the government and create a space where these two entities should continuously have a dialogue amongst each other and making sure that the strategies that they are coming up with helps in the developing countries and the urban design, urban development, and maybe the habitat tree when it comes, the MDGs that we are talking about, because we are the Millennium Development Goals, we are the goalkeepers as the communities. And if you kick a ball to the goal post and there's no goalkeeper, then it will just go through. But we are there to hold our government account. And then United Nations should support us on that, because we are the recipients of this development, especially those who are vulnerable and don't have the privilege of good governance.